Hey everybody, this is Up and Atom Comics here. I'm going to do another video to cover a few different things here. Um, so I'll show like a quick little haul of some things that I picked up, and then um, also want to go into how I go, like some of the madness that's in my brain for how I go about collecting some things. Um, so let's just go ahead and get into it. Um, I went and found, I was looking for some books for some other people, as I'm well, apt to do. And with that, found some books I was looking for Stevie D for something that he's collecting, and then also found a book for Eric Side Quest, getting him really close to finishing up a kind of a stupid series that he'll probably admit, but you know, you just want to find them all, right? So while I was there, found a few interesting things to me of some things that I've kind of wanted to read a little bit or just to have. So the first one is Strike Force Morituri #1. I remember getting this off the shelf, and I know a lot of people have a big fondness for this book. It's kind of like a underrated book that a lot of people don't know about, but it's basically, a strike force that is getting together, is kind of destined to die. Um, a little like Suicide Squad or something like that. But I just remember really enjoying the few issues that I picked up of this back in the day. So I'm going to revisit it. I'm looking forward to it. And then this I picked up, which is Telos #1. And so one year, um, Baltimore Comic Con, which I've typically gone more years than I have not gone. It's only about 3 hours away from me, and they had one year was they do a tribute to a certain book or character or something like that every year, and they usually do um, uh, like I would say like a art book that they put together with a bunch of creators that are attending the show. And they have it where you can get that book. It's like a hardcover book for the year, kind of their annual for the con. And then they also encourage people to get signatures from all the people that contributed, and they're supposed to be signing their page for free. So even if they normally would charge, $5 or $10 for a signature, they'll always do that one free. And then if you get a certain amount of signatures, you can also take that book back. And they have some like limited prints and things like that that you get for free based on how many signatures you have. So it's kind of encourages you to talk to different artists. I'm sure it helps them sell some other stuff at their table while you're talking to them. But really neat idea to have that yearbook that they put out every year. But one of the years they featured Telos, and I was like, I've never heard of this character. I don't know anything about it, but it is Todd DeZago, I think, and Mike Waringo did the art for this. So after seeing this, and I was like, well, I kind of would like to see what all the hubbub was about that year. And then the next one, this is another #1, but this is one of those like crazy, 90s, yeah, 1994, 90s craziness, gimmicky kind of books was Force Works, #1. So it's a wraparound cover, but that's not good enough. If you can kind of tell through this part of the cover, I'm not going to do it right now because I don't know what I'm completely getting into. But basically, this whole thing comes out as like um, reminds me of one of those like pop-up books. It's like a pop-up that comes up out of this that's like a two-sided kind of thing. Rich from Big Nasty kind of featured this, I know, and I think he got like somebody else he saw did that. So it's a stupid thing. This is like the epitome of a gimmick from the 90s. But I was like, well, I'll pick it up. Um, and then I picked this up. This is Ha Ha, issue #6, but this is the Martin Morazzo cover that he did a homage of his own Ice Cream Man 1 book. So when I saw this, I was like, I need to pick this up. As many of you know, I'm working on an art piece that Martin has agreed to put up in his home. And that's such an honor. But what I have is I have kind of Martin, who is the ice cream man. I have an ice cream man up there with the ice cream cone. Um, but Martin is going to be the ice cream man on the cover, and there's going to be a ton of YouTube community members that'll be around there. So some of them contributed to help with the cost. To send this book down to Martin, and so they got added there. And there have been some other people that have been asking to try to fill this up, getting close. So it's kind of a big project, but tons of faces to kind of kind of put on there. So I'm excited to show that off when it's all said and done. But then and then I picked up these other two books, and that's going to lead into what I'm going to talk about next. So I picked up a Marvel Chillers number 5 and a Marvel Chillers number 6. So they both feature Tigra, but they're in the Marvel Chillers title. So what I thought I would do is kind of show you a little bit um, of the craziness that I go through sometimes when I'm thinking about a collection. So as um, as a lot of people do have, there is the CLZ app that you can kind of keep track of things. You can also put stuff that's on a want list, so things that you're looking for, or things to keep in mind as you're going into, a store, a con, whatever. And it's kind of an easy way to organize, to keep track of your collection, but also things that you want. So, but for my own good, I don't fill this up with every single book that I'm looking for, but I might put like a book or two out of a title that I'm looking for, for something that I might be trying to get a run. Because usually I try to, as I've mentioned before, I try to collect some of the key issues first. So I kind of focus on those before I go into the others. It just helps. It helps to focus on getting the bigger books out of out of a run first, and then usually filler stuff you can find a lot more easily, more readily, and cheaper. So that's always a good thing. But one thing that I did, and something that I'm planning to do with my channel, is to share with everybody some of the ways that I'm going about collecting a the Marvel Bronze Age horror. So what I'm sorry to show everybody a spreadsheet here, but I'm showing you a spreadsheet. Um, so what I have done is I have taken all of the titles that are listed here alphabetically, and I've put down how many issues are in that full run for each one, the number that I own in each one of those, whether there are reprints only. A lot of the Marvel Bronze Age horror did reprint stories from the Golden Age. And for me, those are a little bit lower priority than getting new material. There are, of course, some Golden Age ones that I want, mostly for the covers. But they reprinted Atlas books. So, and they kind of mostly jump around. So, it might not be a one for one reprint. It might be like stories from like 3 or 4 different, Marvel Atlas horror books that were like kind of pre-code horror. And then I've put a priority for them all. And then I write like little notes and what keys are in there. Um, so I have all of these titles, and I'll just run through them. There's Beware, that has 8 issues. Chamber of Chills that I just no, I did not mention, but Chamber of Chills is 25 issues that are actually in there. Only the first 7 have new material in them. There's Chamber of Darkness, and any of these ones in blue are ones that I've finished. So Chamber of Darkness, I finished. Creatures on the Loose starts with issue number 10. Um, and so there are a couple of those issues that are reprints, but most of them are new material. Crypt of Shadows, Dead of Night. There's Adventure into Fear. It starts off Fear, and then they added Adventure into. The first 9 issues are all reprints, and then after that, it's Man Thing and Morbius stories in there. There's Frankenstein, Monster of Frankenstein, Frankenstein's Monster. There's 18 issues of that. I have finished that. I have Ghost Rider Volume 1 on here. There's 81 issues of that. Giant Size Chillers, um, which has there are 2 different volumes of that. One is just a one volume, and one has 3 issues. Only the number ones have new material in them. There's Giant Size Creatures, was a one shot that was the first appearance of Tigra. Giant Size Dracula, which starts with issue 2, so it goes 2 through 5. Giant Size Man Thing, Giant Size Werewolf also goes 2 through 5. Journey into Mystery, the second series. There's Man Thing Volume 1. There's also Man Thing Volume 2, but I didn't include that here. I kind of look at books that were just like exclusively in the 70s, and that's kind of what I'm mostly focusing on. And I do have Man Thing Volume 2 of the whole thing, so that was one thing I didn't have to put on there. Marvel Chillers, which you just saw, has showed two books from. Getting close, only need 2 of those left. Monsters on the Prowl also starts with issue number 9. And they're mostly all reprints. Son of Satan, which kind of takes over from Marvel Spotlight Stories, where Son of Satan has 8 issues there. Supernatural Thrillers, great series. I finished this one, just recently read it, so planning on doing a video just highlighting all of Supernatural Thrillers to kind of go through it. There's Tomb of Darkness, which also begins with number 9. It was continued from Beware at the top, which was 8 issues, and then they changed the title to Tomb of Darkness and continued on for 15 issues. There's Tomb of Dracula that a lot of people know, 70 full issues. Tower of Shadows, Uncanny Tales. The second series, the first one was in the Golden Age. Vault of Evil, Weird Wonder Tales. Uncanny Tales, Vault of Evil, and Weird Wonder Tales are all reprint titles, as well as Where Monsters Dwell. But the one I'm working on the most right now is Werewolf by Night. And I just need a few issues of that left. And then Worlds Unknown is kind of sci-fi, but also considered in that horror realm. And then I have another section here. There's Marvel Spotlight. So not all of those is what I would classify as being horror titles, but a lot are. So there's Werewolf is 2 through 4, then Ghost Rider, kind of takes over from there. There's some other, um, uh, there's Son of Satan, and then Moon Knight, and then it kind of goes into Spider-Woman. So it's got some different things. And then there's also a couple of issues of giant-sized Spider-Man that I would consider as like more Marvel Bronze Age horror, because one has Dracula, one has Man-Thing in it. And then there's giant-sized superheroes, which has Spider-Man, Morbius, and Man-Wolf. And then I go on to Marvel horror magazines. And so these are all the titles: Dracula Lives Annual. The 2 annuals for Dracula Lives and Tales of the Zombie were both reprints of previous stuff, but they exist. Haunt of Horror had 2 different volumes. There's 5 total issues. Legion of Monsters is a one-shot. Masters of Terror is just reprints. Monster Madness is a Fumetti book. So basically, they took photographs and they kind of retold a story through photographs with little speech bubbles. So that's on here. Monsters Unleashed is one I would love to. I've been working on a little bit, but I just can't find the issues affordably when I know they're out there. Tales of the Zombie, I'm also working on that one. I've really enjoyed that one. Like I said, there's an annual, and then there's a Tomb of Dracula magazine, which kind of takes over after the Tomb of Dracula um, series, and there's 6 issues of that. I did finish that run, and Vampire Tales has a lot of keys in there. Only 11 issues, but another one that I'm kind of going after. And then I have a few things that I just mentioned at the bottom of my list. There's Marvel Preview. There's 4 different issues. Um, and Blade, Satana, Legion of Monsters, Lilith, and Dracula. There's some big issues in that. Rampaging Hulk and Hulk, I put that down here, even though they're just basically Hulk magazines. There's a big section of those that are Moon Knight issues, and I do have all the Moon Knight issues in Rampaging Hulk. And then there's Savage Tales, and there's only 11 issues. It's mostly Conan stuff and Cull. But there is the first issue does have the first appearance of Man-Thing, so I'm including that on this list as well. So this lets you know a little bit of the craziness that I do to kind of organize and prioritize. So I put like little priorities of like something that is a high for me. That's why you see like I'm somewhat after Tomb of Dracula. I've had the whole run before, but I did a trade for it, and now I'm slowly working on getting it back. Not as huge high as a priority as some other things. And then Werewolf by Night, I'm really close to finishing that one, so I have that as a very high priority. And then I have a few of the magazine titles are high priority. So I'm kind of working on those first. And then I'll work on some of the medium ones and see how that goes. But I thought that would be, I was chatting with Steve a little bit, Steve Driscoll, Steve D, about this. And I thought it'd be a fun thing just to kind of show everybody my madness. So please let me know what you do that might be considered a little crazy. It kind of reminds me of way back in the day when I first started collecting. And this is before the OHOTMU, the official handbook of the Marvel Universe, came out, or I was aware of it. I think there might have been the first volume may have come out a little bit before, but it wasn't anywhere that I could see. But I used to take the comics that I was getting, and I would put down there I would make a list on just like a notebook of every single character and what characters were in each book. And so if I wanted to look at the issues that Spider-Man was in, I could go back and find all the different ones. And then I would make little notes of like stories that connected and different things like that. I used to be a big fan, back in the, 80s. I feel like the 90s started getting away from it a bit. You hardly ever see it now, but I used to love the little editorial notes that would say, they would describe something and they would say, see this issue. And then that made me want to be like, oh wow, I do want to find that. And when I first went to my very first official comic shop that I went to, I had a little list of those books that I had heard about that I wanted to read that I never saw. And I remember getting a few of those. So that was pretty exciting for me. But of course, then you get a new comic and then it's like, see this book. And so for those people that are completionists like I am, that's probably what started a lot of that is trying to be like, oh, I want to find out what happened with that character here, and I feel like I'm coming halfway through the story. So it was a good way to, very smart, I think, on the editorial staff to encourage people to get other things. I don't know why they don't do it now. It seems like that's kind of low-hanging fruit but maybe they just don't want to do the research, or maybe, maybe that came into play, that people were getting bogged down in the research for these things and they weren't benefiting uh, from it because the comics had already sold. So I can see them making that choice of like, well, we just want them buying new comics. We don't want them hunting down the old ones because we don't get money for those anymore. Maybe that was a business decision. I'd be curious to see what you think about that, if that's, or if you know something that's why they stopped doing that. Or maybe it's just the effect of things are made to collect in trades so that trades can be more readily available in places like bookstores and things like that. So anyway, some interesting thoughts just put out there. And then the last thing that um, I did want to mention is a new channel to go check out if you haven't seen it. Fairly new, but has been around, several months. But Base Mint Comics is MINT. I'll put a little link below. Make sure to check out Basement Comics because he's doing a lot of fun things. That you have got to see the tour of his basement. It's insane. He is an almost complete Marvel collector. Um, and he kind of goes over, picks a week. Is like, hey, these are the books that came out that week that I probably would have picked up, and he shows them off and tells little stories about them. So it's kind of a neat idea. And puts, he does videos on new releases and things like that too. But it's kind of a, you know, neat way to go back into the uh, to go back into the flashback machine and see what's there, or have some fond memories about things that you collected. But anyway, go check out Basement Comics and give him some support. I'm sure he would appreciate that. Well, that is all that I have for you today. Hope everybody's doing well in your life. Make sure to flip through a floppy like I'm about to, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.